this plastic cover off, and the oil cap comes off. And just to be safe, I'm just going to stick some paper towels in there just to make sure nothing falls down into that hole there where the oil goes in. And I have to take this clamp off for the intake. Now there's another clamp. What I'm using here is a screwdriver with a socket and an extension on it. Get a light down in there and you'll be able to see this clamp right down here. This is where it goes into the throttle body from the air filter. Hope that's loose enough. And after you get this main one off here, there's a smaller one behind it, and I usually just use a good set of channel locks on these type of clamps if I have room. Just lift that clamp off and pull that small hose off, and then right in the back here's a little rubber where it sits on, and you'll need to pull that out. It should just snap right out. Yep. And you've got it off. So before you start anything, put some paper towel inside your throttle body here, and then just to be sure, I cover it up with another cloth just so that nothing can fall down inside of there. So if you have an air compressor, I would recommend blowing everything off here first so you don't get any dirt falling in your cylinders. If you don't have air, at least try and clean some of the dirt around the coils. You've got 4 coils here, one on each cylinder, no wires. So this here is a 10mm. Just careful, don't snap that off. It's just plastic there. Loosen them all off. Okay, I'm leaving these 3 in here just so I don't end up getting the wires mixed up. I doubt that you can, but I've just learned to do it that way. So there's your ignition wire right there inside. We're using a 5/8 socket for the spark plugs. You have to be a little extra careful with this because I believe it's threading into aluminum. So there's the original plug that came out of it. So here's the replacement plug, and you can see it's an iridium. Now you want to make sure that the socket that you're using has the rubber inside of there for the spark plug. Make sure it's an actual spark plug socket and that the rubber is in there. When you go to put the spark plug in, you got to make sure that it's tight inside the socket so that when you put it down in there it's not going to fall out. Being that this is screwing into aluminum, sometimes it tends to oxidize, so I would recommend putting just a very little bit of antisieze on the threads. Careful when you set it in there so that you don't mess up your gap and that it threads in easily. This is a tapered style spark plug. It has a taper on the bottom as opposed to a washer that has to be squished when you screw it tight. These type of plugs, and being that it's screwing into aluminum, I would recommend, after you get it hand tight, I would recommend about 1/8 of a turn, no more. And I was just going to say, you got to be careful that your socket comes out with it. That works. And just inspect the rubber and the wire here, make sure that everything looks good and sealed. If you see any dampness on the bottom of the wire there, just make sure that you dry it off. And then slide it back in. So this one's done, it can be tightened down. Very gently tighten those. Now I'll just continue with the other 4, one at a time. So just grab the top, and first thing you're going to want to do is this corner over here at the back passenger side. Hook it into that rubber, and then now your air breather hose, just make sure that you get that on there in place, and you can slide this one on as well. And take this off right here. This has a groove right here, and this plastic cover slides down in between this groove. I'm using a little white lithium grease here, and I'm just going to grease up this ring a little bit. I help it to slide on in place, and it'll also help the aluminum from corroding inside of here. You could use Vaseline if you don't have any white lithium. And slide it onto there, making sure again that your clamp is facing in the same direction as it was, or else you're not going to be able to get at the screw there. Okay, slide it into place. And it should slip right on now. Make sure that it's all the way down. It should be clipped in 2 places in the back there, which it is. And don't forget to tighten the bottom clamp here if you've put it on properly and you've faced it in the right direction so that you can get at it again. Just going to blow this out around the oil cap. Remove my plug, replace it with the right cap, and you're done. Now for the best part, test drive.